Hey, gang, it's Bryan from FXBilliards. The video you're about to watch is my interview with Chad McDaniel, the subject of an outstanding documentary about an outstanding pool player, and Lauren Goldfarb, who is the director of this film. Jeanette Lee is the executive producer. The film comes out May 11th. So while you're watching this, it is available. Make sure you check it out. Everyone should be watching this. Let's get started. First off, this was an amazing film. I got to watch it. Even someone that's not interested in pool really should watch this. Lauren, just kind of lead me through how you met Chad, how you came about deciding to make the documentary.
Right around the time I started taking lessons with you, Brian, and by the way, I need to pick back up because my pool game has stared to fall off. So I need
Yeah,
to I need to sign back up and take more lessons.
I was going to ask you how your game was
Yeah,
going.
it's not going well right now.
He read a midget meeting recently,
Yeah, it
so
Oh,
hasn't been going
really?
well. But anyway, so what happened was I met Chad, or I saw Chad at a pool hall in Florida near where we live, and it was during a APA Tri Cup, and I didn't see him play. He was just in his chair wheeling around. He had a pool cue case in the back of his chair. In fact, you can see it in the image behind me. That's Chad's chair, and there's his case that says Shorty on it, which is his nickname. And I saw him wheeling around, and I was just really curious, like, how does this guy playing pool? Like, I don't understand. But I didn't have a chance to watch him play because I was in matches or what have you, and didn't see him play. But then sometime thereafter, we were both in Orlando for regionals, and I saw him play. I had a chance in between matches to watch him, and I was just astounded by how good he was. He was destroying his opponent, and he was like poetry in motion, him going around the table, and I was just so impressed with what I was seeing. And that's what got me thinking about it. He won that regionals. He beat 6 out of 7 opponents, and he was, got his ticket to Vegas, and that's sort of what got the wheels turning.
It must be said that Jeanette Lee is an executive producer in the documentary. How did that come about?
Yeah, she's known Chad for several years, and she was aware of the film. She was actually supposed to be in it. She was going to be in Vegas when we were the same year that we shot Chad in Vegas, but she was, everyone knows she's had some major health issues, and that prevented her from being there
Mm.
in 2024. So she wasn't in the film, but she was aware of it. She sort of on the periphery, and I approached her one day, and I know she has a lot of respect for Chad, and she knows his story, and I felt like it was a good fit.
And of course, Jeanette is the favorite player of just about everyone on the planet. And, just an amazing person, not just amazing pool player, but amazing person. So, Chad, I am going to pronounce this correctly. Okay. Osteogenesis imperfectus. How did I do?
hey, good job,
All
great
right.
job.
So,
I could spell that at 6, believe it or not.
well, I can't spell it, but I can, I think I can pronounce it. And so so you were born with this, and can you tell us a little bit about what some of the outcomes are, some of the things you have to deal with as a result?
Back when I was born in 71, uh, they basically only had 4 types of OI. It's a brittle bone disease. It's a lack of collagen in the bones from birth, and it's usually very hereditary. My wife has it as well, and she can trace it in her lineage of her family quite a bit. Whereas I'm a mutant. I jokingly say I'm an alien from another planet. But I mean, there's no history of it in my family. There's nobody else in my family that has it. But yeah, it's a collagen disorder. My bones are very brittle. I've broken just about everything in my body at one time or another. I quit counting at about 38 bones, and I
Wow.
never counted fingers, toes, or ribs. Just because they were the, the count would probably be up over 100 if I went into that.
Right.
But it also, I have a short growth, shortened stature. I'm about 32 inches tall. I have a hearing loss. I've lost quite a bit of teeth, quite a few teeth as a result of dentigenous imperfecta, which is brittle teeth. Since teeth are like bones anyway.
Right.
And so, otherwise, pretty much I've had a normal life. I don't walk. I do scoot on my bottom, and I'm pretty nimble. Although as I've gotten older and fatter, I'm a little less nimble. But I'm still able to get around pretty well. I do use a power wheelchair when I go outside my home. Uh, and I live a pretty independent life with my wife. I've been married almost 23 years now. I had a professional career with Department of Defense for over 27 years, and then I retired. The job got a little too stressful, and I was 52 years old, and I'm like, yeah, it's time to go. And so I decided, I've got enough money financially, emotionally, and it was just a stressful situation. There was a big job change at work, and I was like, it's just not worth it anymore. I want to enjoy some retirement.
And your attitude, not just towards the game of pool, but in life, I mean, everyone should pay attention to that and learn from it, because it's amazing. I mean, you must have said 4 or 5 things during the film that I was like, oh, that should be a T-shirt. We need to turn that into a T-shirt. So when you see all these T-shirts with your terms on it come up with FXBilliards logo on it, you can be like, that damn Bryan. So, but yeah,
I expect residuals, bro. I expect residuals.
We'll take care of it. Maybe I'll do some coaching and to offset the cost. But
oh, that'll work. That'll work.
Because the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, when can I get to Florida and play with Chad? Because this is it was just amazing to me. And as someone who teaches pool, I mean, this is my full-time job is teaching pool. And one of the things that just kept reoccurring to me was the complaints that people make. Oh, the table's bad and the balls are bad and the cloth is bad. I'm like, you have no idea what this gentleman is going through just to make a shot, just to be at the table, just to get to the pool hall. Guys are complaining, oh, I live 45 minutes from the pool hall. Can you imagine? I want to tell them, can you imagine what it takes for him just to arrive at the pool hall? So yeah, I was absolutely inspired, and I think a lot of people will be. Yeah, it was actually cool watching you get around. When you talk about scooting, just watching you get around, which is probably also why you had so many broken bones growing up, because you're on the floor all the time. Is I would imagine is the case. Yeah, because I was mentioning to you guys earlier, I have a special needs child, and he spends most of his time on the floor. My concern is always somebody's going to step on him. So I know what that's like. Kind of take us to your introduction to pool.
I was 11 years old. We had a city program during the summer for the kids to go and play. They had bumper pool, foosball table, ping pong table, dodgeball. I didn't play that, but I mean, so I learned I could play bumper pool because it was a smaller table. It was real easy to reach everything, and then it sort of they opened a teen hangout 2 years later, and it had a bar box 3.5 by 7 in the back of it. That's when I took up 8-ball, and started playing on that table. My dad helped develop the bridge that I use, and I just kept learning and learning and learning. Finding ways to play. I learned, I need to put a pillow under myself to get up a little bit so I can see a little bit.
Right.
And that's pretty much how my pool journey began.
And the bridge that you use to aid you on shots, has that changed over the years, or is it still the same design?
No, it started with PVC and coat hanger wire, and then now I've got it down to 3/4 inch metal conduit and 10 penny nails welded. and then I put toggle switch covers over the feet, not scratch the table. It gets a little bit of rubber resistance, and it holds it well enough. And I shoot one-handed with it. I put it out on the table, and I'm playing one-handed most of the time. And it takes a light touch. I've made several of these bridges over the years and given them to other disabled players, and 9 out of 10 times they give them back to me and go, "I can't use that. I can't get used to that."
Right.
But now, over the years, I've noticed they develop more and more bridges that are similar that they make could use instead.
So you went from bumper pool to actual pool, and did you start out playing 8 ball once you got on the pool table?
Yeah. I started out playing 8 ball, and then I went to a different pool room when I was about 15 or 16, and I got introduced to 9 ball. And it wasn't until college that I saw my first 9 foot table. I didn't realize they made them that big, and I thought everything was a small bar box, And
Yeah.
I was blessed to be able to play it for 6 years on a diamond 9 footer that had 4 1/4 pockets, and I really loved that table. You get good on that table, you can play on just about anything.
I think that it's interesting that you kind of gravitated towards 9 ball. What are some of the reasons you like 9 ball versus 8 ball?
I can't break them as well in 8 ball. I just don't have a lot of power. I've tried heavier cues, lighter cues, different tips, different speed, and I just break the balls better playing 9 ball. So that's why I kind of gyrated toward that game.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you, I love watching you break that 9 ball rack. I mean, it's great to watch. The energy that you're putting behind that, and people that have trouble breaking a rack really should watch because it is inspiring, the energy you put behind it. And we should the only thing that's missing from the documentary, there should be a slow motion clip of Chad breaking the 9 ball rack.
That'll be the
That
next one.
Yeah. So, but that's good stuff. What are some of the things that you had to develop, that you had to spend more time working on than others?
Well, once I got the bridge sort of finalized in the late '90s, I had a pool table in my home. I
Oh,
got a friend of mine gave me actually an 8 footer, and I put it in my home, and then I played more often. And then about 2004, I joined the APA, and I started playing there for about a year and a half, 2 years. Took some time off, and then came back. And when I came back in 2007, I came back a lot more serious about it, and I ended up finishing third in the U.S. in the wheelchair tournament in 2008, and then in 2009, my 9 ball team, actually won our city championship. We went to Las Vegas, and we ended up finishing ninth in the country out of over 400 teams. And my captain called me the secret weapon because he would throw me out there, and they didn't know whether I was going to draw out a good player or a bad player or what. Usually, the other captain would look at me and go, "Oh, I'm going to throw my 3 or my weak 4 on you or whatever," and I just destroy them. I beat them 18-2 or something ridiculous. And then we had one year. 2 captains were playing. We were playing another team, and they happened to have a wheelchair player on their team, a female wheelchair player. And she's actually a really good friend of mine now. But the captains kind of got together and said, "Well, let's play our 2 wheelchair players against each other." And I looked over at my captain and I go, "This is not going to go well." I beat her like 17-3. She went off and was crying, and I felt bad about it, but I play good when I want to play good.
One of the things that I noticed that jumped out at me um, watching the film is the kind of support you got, that you get from your friends and your family, and everybody is in your camp. And you're obviously extremely independent, but you've had a great group of people around you. And I think having the right team captain, because I believe your team captain appeared in the that was your team captain that appeared in the documentary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and he seems to be a great guy and seems to be a good person to have
yeah.
in your camp. Yeah.
I've been playing with him for about 12, 13 years now. And he's a great friend. He comes and gets me every week, and takes me to all the big tournaments, other than the regular tournaments, and he and I are just close friends.
One of the things that I think stands out in the film is the fact that, you mentioned playing in the wheelchair events, that the majority of your play is not in wheelchair events. It's in the regular, APA team events. I don't know if things have changed since the film was made, but you weren't going to Vegas on the in the wheelchair events at the time. You were going on the regular individual events. Is there a reason why you kind of strayed away from the wheelchair events?
Well, the wheelchair event is only 8 ball, or has been only 8 ball up until next year. And 8 ball is just not my stronger game. I can't break it as well. I can't get enough power on it. And two, the 8 ball event, there's a guy named Charlie Hines out of Ohio that's absolutely won this event like 14 out of 18 years. I mean, he's really just dominated it, and I don't see much point. You go in and you got a guy that he's a 7 in the wheelchair, and he's a true 7. He can light him up. He can make the 8. He can break and run. He's just a very, very strong player, and he was a strong player before he went into the wheelchair. But I'm excited because next year in 27, it's going to be 9 ball. The wheelchair event is going to be 9 ball, and I'm coming for it. I'm already making plans. I'm getting fired up about it.
Lauren, what were some of the challenges in making this documentary? Because I know you got a unique situation, a unique subject, and Chad as well, just being followed around by the cameras all the time. What was that like, filming it and also being the subject?
So I think, for any documentary filmmaker, I think they'll probably all say the same thing, that usually access is the biggest challenge in producing a documentary. Access to your subjects, access to locations, and so on. The good news is that with this film, Chad and Allison were completely open. It wasn't too hard to convince them to do it. So that part of it was easy. It was actually more challenging to get some buy-in from some other folks. It was extremely difficult, believe it or not, to get an expert to talk on camera about OI. You'd like, why would that be the case, right? So, but it was really challenging. I don't know why. In all my time creating content, I don't think I ever had that much difficulty getting an expert to go on camera. So we ended up getting a wonderful expert, Dr. Tosi, who was fantastic and did a wonderful job explaining OI. So she was wonderful. We always had typical challenges of getting approval to shoot in locations and so on. There's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of back and forth with legal documents and so on. But it wasn't terribly difficult. The challenging part for me, and I've been in production my whole career. You alluded to it earlier. I started my career at NBC and produced for television for a while. So the production side of it, I've been doing for a long time. So I know how to put together a crew and all of that. But what I didn't know anything about was distribution, because I always worked somewhere where the distribution was built in, right? So when I worked at NBC News and I worked at Dateline, it was a foregone conclusion. Everything I did would air on Dateline. But when you're doing an independent project where it's, you're coming up with the money and you're putting this project together without any knowledge of where it's going to actually end up, that's a different ball game. And you have to learn that, you have to understand that world. And so it was a crash course. And fortunately, we were able to figure it out, and we have distribution, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So that'll be, super exciting. But I'd say that was probably the biggest challenge, was just that learning curve. But working with Chad and Allison and the other folks, for the most part, I don't think we had a lot of speed bumps there. That worked out pretty well. But
Okay.
Chad, what was it like having cameras follow you around?
It, it was okay for the most part until later in the day when I got really tired, and there was a certain cameraman that, yeah, he lit the fuse of 96 pounds of dynamite a little bit, but otherwise, I was really surprised at just how my wife and I both handled it pretty well. I think, it was a little bit intrusive, but not bad. I mean, I wanted my story out there. That was my whole intention and goal, was just to be genuine, to be me, to be real, and to present myself the way that I want to be seen, so that that maybe other disabled people, or parents like yourself of disabled children, that they could get something out of the film as well.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you do it again?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm
I would
I'm just
hope for
looking
a
forward to 96 pounds of dynamite, the TV series.
yeah, yeah. Somebody else brought that up already, and I'm like, I don't know about that. The week
Well,
to week thing, yeah.
there's there's a lot less interesting things on TV that people are tuning into.
Yeah.
So I would definitely tune into that. And one of the ways I describe people is somebody should be following them around with a camera 24/7. And you fit that description to somebody. I would just like I want to know what he's doing at dinner time. That the whole bit. So yeah, we're looking forward looking forward to the TV series. Lauren, you mentioned distribution. Can you talk a little bit about where everyone can see the film, and if you want to touch on it, how you got there to that point?
Sure. Yeah, so we just finished our film festival run. So film festivals are a place where independent films are shown in theaters. There are thousands of them around the world. And Chad and I were fortunate enough to be in some really good ones. And we just wrapped up the festival run. So now we launch for what we call wide distribution. And we are very fortunate to be both on Amazon and Apple TV starting May 11th. So on that date, our film will be available on those platforms. It'll actually open up even more after that, probably about a month later. There will be some other platforms they'll be available on. But starting May 11th, Amazon and Apple, you just go there, search 96 pounds of dynamite, and it should pop up. You can also go to our website, dynamite-film.com, and we don't have them up there yet, but we will have links to our pages on both of those platforms. Will be up there. And I think, as you noted, there's a lot more to this film than pool. The pool community, I think, will naturally be interested in this, but there are so many other storylines, threads in here about, the relationship Chad had with his mother and what that meant, for him overcoming his challenges. I mean, you know, I'm sure Brian, with you and your son, you were probably, very similar in the way that you approach your son as the way, Chad's mom approached him. Whatever he can, whatever it is he's able to do, you're going to push to make sure that can happen. And so there's that story. There's the love story between Allison and Chad, and a love story between Chad and his other family members and his friends. And you referred to this earlier, the community, the supportive community that comes around and says, okay, where can we help? Where can we fill the holes so that he can live his best life, right? So, Chad does not drive. So, you imagine, I need to go somewhere. I just get in my car and I go. I might complain I've got to drive an hour, right? You were talking about that earlier, right? People complain about having to drive 45 minutes. But, Chad is always relying on somebody else to drive him somewhere, right? He can't just get up and go. If he has a hankering for a soft serve ice cream, and he doesn't have any in the house, he just can't get in the car and go, right? Someone has to assist with that. So, you know, Chad's done a great job of building that community around him. And all of us who, and Chad and I have become friends, and that's probably the most beneficial thing that's come out of this for me anyway, is the friendship that he and I have developed. But, he's got people like me and others who do a lot more than I do, who are more than happy to, help him out and, drive them to Chad and Allison to the grocery store or wherever they need, wherever they need to go and help in any way they can. And Chad tries to return the favor as much as he can, anything that he can do. If I need help with something or advice or whatever, you know, Chad's there to help.
So what's next for you guys? What's next for you, Chad? Let's start with you.
I don't know.
He wants to get another pool table at home, right? You want to get another pool table in your house.
Yeah, I want to get a pool table in my house. I want to start making money off this film so I can make that payment on that G6 that I got sitting aside,
Yeah, right.
That's my joke to Lauren. Well, I've been making this joke for months and months. But yeah, no, I don't expect to see any money from it at all. But I'm just living my life with my wife right now. My wife's unfortunately going through a little bit of health problems, and we're trying to get through that the next couple of weeks, and hopefully I'm praying for a positive outcome there. And then we've got tournaments coming up. I've got Cities 8 Ball here, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, and then I've got weekend after that we got an exhibition with Jeanette Lee over in Tampa, and then 2 weeks after that, I believe we have 9 ball cities. So I've got to find my stroke somewhere between now and then. I got to get back to the table somehow.
Yeah, and Brian, any of your viewers who are in the Tampa area, they should come out and join us on May 23rd. It's Memorial Day weekend, Saturday, May 23rd at 11:30 a.m. to about 1:30 p.m. We'll be showing the film. It'll be a free screening of the film. And we will be having an exhibition with Chad and Jeanette. And I think Jeanette will probably play some other folks, and then she'll do an autograph signing as well. And by that point, everyone might want Chad's autograph too. So he might need to get his autograph perfected between now and then.
Yeah, it's important that you practice your autograph.
Yeah.
So it's going to be in Tampa. What's the name of the location? The pool hall that is going to.
Oh, yeah, I left that out, didn't I? It's called Sticks Billiards in Oldsmar.
Outstanding. So hopefully we can get some of our viewers there. And I truly appreciate being able to interview you guys. And Lauren, I'm looking forward to giving you some more lessons. And Chad, if you need anything at all that I can help with, please reach out to me. Anything else you guys want to add? Any other projects going on that we should know about?
Well, once I've got this film we've given birth to this film, I'll be moving on to my next project. And I have 2 or 3 ideas that are rolling around in my head. And I haven't moved forward on anything because really it's amazing. The marketing and distribution side of this takes just as much time as the actual production and post-production process.
Right.
It's just as intensive. So it's been all in on this project for better part of 2.5 years now.
Thank you guys very much. Again, if either of you need anything, Lauren, if you do any films about pool and you need a technical advisor, Jeanette is a good source. I can be your runner-up. So, but you're like, should we call Bryan or Jeanette? I think we're going to call Jeanette Lee.
Well, we hope you get down here, Bryan. So if you come down, let us know you're going to be here. We'd love to get together with you. Thanks a lot, Bryan.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure to meet you, Bryan, really.
All right. You too, Chad. Bye-bye.